I want to introduce our next speaker, the fabulous, the incredibly talented, and the amazing Stacy Left. And I love what you do, Stacy, talking about money and business and numbers and bringing that sexiness back to this part of business is something that I don't think most people do nearly enough of. So I cannot wait for your presentation, and I'm going to go ahead and spotlight you so everybody can see you. And we are recording, and the stage is yours.
Thank you so much for that kind introduction. My name is Stacy Luft. My business is CEO Business Balance. What I do in a nutshell is accounting and bookkeeping for small businesses. But what do I really do? Is I help empower entrepreneurs to get financial clarity, to build wealth, to build a business that works for them and supports their life in the right size way. So the way that makes the most sense for them. Okay, so we don't focus on big, we don't focus on small, we don't focus on how big should your team be. We focus on what works for you and how do we get there. Everybody's business is a little different. I do want to share, I think I have the ability to share. I do. You will notice with my slides that I am an accountant. I'm not a graphic artist. So I have my slides here. And my talk today is financial clarity for growth, unlocking the power of your numbers. So one of my missions is to empower entrepreneurs to build wealth and thrive with confidence. Particularly in today's world, talking about money is even more taboo than before. Most of the entrepreneurs that I've worked with and some business owners of very large businesses, the struggle has been the same. They don't really understand where their money is coming from. How do they get cash? What's the difference between profit and cash? And translating the language of accounting into regular everyday business language that makes sense for us that we care about. No one wants to talk about debits and credits except for accountants, right? So we talk about the money. Where is it coming from? Where is it going? How are we doing? Most of the conversations that I have with business owners are around how do they feel about what's going on in their business. So maybe a little bit different than what you may be accustomed to hearing from other accountants. I probably should share with you that I have been doing this as I wonder about how old I am. I've been doing this for over 30 years, and I've worked with business owners and solo entrepreneurs from $50,000 a year in sales to $35 million a year in sales. Teams of 1 to teams of 250 in 3 states. So all different sizes, all different scenarios, inventory, service-based, online businesses, all the good stuff. So there's very few scenarios that I haven't seen, and it's very unusual for us to not have the same issues throughout our businesses. That's one thing that's pretty common, is the way we talk about money, the way we think about money. So just I put this up because I was supposed to put this up while I was talking to you. Let me keep moving. So what my talk is focused on is for entrepreneurs who are ready to take charge of their finances. So taking charge of our finances does not mean that we know what everything means, that we know where everything goes, that we have to struggle, and that we have to do it on our own. But we're ready to take responsibility and take charge. We want to learn. Okay? We're looking to build wealth through strategic financial clarity. What do I mean by strategic? I don't mean a large, complicated financial plan. Where do we want to go? Where do we want to end up? By when? And from there, we build the plan. So with the end goal in mind, we start with where do we want to end up? How do we want to live? How much money do we think we need? And then we build the plan on how to get there. Okay. So if we don't know that we want to get from New York to California, before we get in the car, we don't know which bridge to take. Right. So that's where we always start with the end in mind. Where do we want to go? How do we want, and then we figure out how do we want to get there. Okay. We want to simplify financial operations and free up your time for what matters most. Common thing that you'll hear in the coaching community is don't do your own bookkeeping. The first thing you outsource is your bookkeeping. I disagree strongly with that philosophy. Not that you have to do every transaction, but you have to understand it. How can you hire someone if you don't know what the answer is supposed to look like? So I do insist that my business owners are involved, whether they're doing their books and I'm helping them, or I'm doing their books for them and we're going over them together. You have to understand where your money's coming and going so that you know what the answer is supposed to look like. The worst thing that you can do for your business, in my opinion, is be hands off about your money and delegate by abdication. Meaning, my bookkeeper handles that. I don't know what's going on. You can't make a decision that way. That's not going to bring you the best results for your business. Okay, but we do want to simplify those processes. It does not have to be difficult. It does not have to be painful. And there are ways to streamline things through technology or processes. Okay? And the last thing that I think is important is that you're ready to grow your business sustainably. So we want to live our lives and we want to grow our business. So I don't subscribe to the hustle culture. Doesn't mean I don't work hard. Doesn't mean I don't work a lot. I just don't subscribe to the whole, it has to be hard, it has to be difficult, rush. I don't, I actually subscribe to the opposite. Let's take a breath and think about this first. Pick the best way forward. So we want to grow our business sustainably. What can we tolerate? What do we realistically have the capacity for between our business and our personal life? Whatever that personal life might look like, right? Because we all have different responsibilities, different things that we want to do. Okay, so that's what I mean by growing businesses sustainably. Okay, what's healthy for us? Okay. What is financial clarity and why does it matter? So for me, financial clarity is probably the most important step. And that's the umbrella that everything goes under. So in order to have financial clarity, we have to understand what things mean. We want to build our foundation. Well, what does financial mean for us? So one person's definition of building wealth may be different than another person's definition of building wealth. Your sales goals might be different than my sales goals. Some people want to grow a large team and they want to scale their business in that way. Other people want to scale their business by utilizing technology and remain a very small team or maybe just on their own, right? It means different things to different people, right? So we don't all have the same definition, and bigger is not always better. Okay, I know a lot of what we see online and social media about money is all about getting bigger and better. It's not necessarily so. What's the quality that we're looking for? What does it mean for us? Okay, I can tell you that I ran the finance department of a $35 million company. We had 250 employees in 3 states, and we were doing in-house payroll, which I do not recommend. But I was also interim director of HR. The accounting team was 10 people. Been there, done that. It was a lot of work. It was great at the time. My goals have changed, right? So that no longer fits for me, but that might sound really exciting to somebody else. So we figure out, where do you want to go? What does it mean for you? That's what financial clarity is. Then it becomes, now we understand where the money's coming from. Where's the money going? What do we need in order to reach our goal so that we can make informed decisions, reduce our stress, and be prepared for the opportunities? So when I say seize opportunities, meaning that if we know where our money is, what's coming, what's going, we have the opportunity to better choose our opportunities, right? We can take advantage of a particular opportunity that's fallen into our lap that was unexpected, or we know when to say no. This is not the right time for me, right? So we need to make empowered, informed decisions. We understand what our goals are, where our money is coming and going. It becomes a lot easier to make these types of decisions. So one of the things that I want to take you through is 5 simple steps to take control of your numbers and set your business up for long-term success. Okay? Now, we don't grow quickly, overnight, without certain, um, what do we say? There are, I don't, I keep trying to say consequences, and that's not the word I'm looking for. There's different decisions that we make at different times, right? And different capacity issues and different um, sacrifices that we may need to make depending on what we're looking to accomplish. Okay? So we try to keep it simple. I have it down to 5 steps. The first step is very straightforward. We always start from the most foundational piece first, tracking your cash flow weekly, at the very least weekly. I will confess I do my bookkeeping in 5 minutes a day. Every morning, that's how I start my day with my coffee. I check in on my numbers. I code any transactions that I need to code and do my books as quickly as I need to do. But I'm focused on cash flow. What's coming in, what's going out, where do I want to go? So I'm actually doing it daily. Do you need to do it daily? Maybe not. For me, it's like breathing. Like I said, I do it every morning with my coffee. It takes me 5 minutes. It helps me set this day that I know what I need to accomplish this week. Right? So if an opportunity comes up that I want to take advantage of, I can say yes with confidence. Yes, this fits into my goals. I don't really have to hem and haw about it. Okay. So when we start tracking our cash flow weekly, we're talking about keeping it super simple. What money is coming in and what money is going out. Okay. We can use tools. I put up here for Xero. Xero is an accounting software tool. Another tool is QuickBooks Online. You might be a little bit more familiar with QuickBooks Online, or a very simple spreadsheet. Okay. I do my forecasting in a very simple Google Sheet. It's not complicated. It doesn't have crazy formulas. It's just very straightforward that I can kind of gut check where am I going. Okay. We're going to look for patterns in our numbers. When we start to track our number over weeks or months, we can start to see patterns forming, right? When is our subscription renewals, right? If you have an online business, you know you have a lot of subscriptions to the different apps that you might need to use for your business. Sometimes it's just a monthly fee. Sometimes it's an annual fee, right? Maybe if we sign up for on an annual basis, we might be able to save a little money. But we have to be able to anticipate the following year. So we really just want to look for patterns, particularly when it's slow, so that we're prepared. Okay. One of the things that we need to do is really ideally, and I understand that I say this with the caveat that it's not as easy as it sounds, depending on your situation, is we want to maintain a 3 to 6 month cash reserve. What do I mean by cash reserve? Our total expenses. Okay? 3 to 6 months of expenses, cash reserve, setting aside. The more the better. So I kind of planted the seed there. For 12 months is even better, right? But 3 to 6. Why do I say 3 to 6? 3 to 6 months, 90 to 180 days. Something unexpected comes up that has to be paid for. Have the opportunity to, one, take care of that emergency in the moment, and then also have time to rebuild that cash reserve. Okay? One of the most common ones in small business solo entrepreneurs, a big client changes their mind and decides to go in a different direction, and we lose that contract. Okay? That's the biggest one. One of the challenges of being in a small business is having large clients. We only have a handful of large clients, meaning they're the sales from those clients. It can create a cash crunch for us if that client decides to move in a different direction, or something catastrophic happens in their business that can affect your business. Because if they have a catastrophe in their business and they can't pay your fee, that becomes their cash flow problems become your cash flow problems, right? So we want to look for patterns, and we want to try to be prepared. Have as much money as reasonably possible set aside. 3 to 6 months is usually a good reserve. Again, 12 months is better. Does that mean it's sitting in a checking account? No. We can have it an interest-bearing account, but that it's easily accessible. Okay. Step two, we need to separate our personal and business finances. We call this commingling. If you've heard that term before from your accountant, do not commingle your funds, meaning we don't want to mix up our personal and our business monies. We want to have a separate business bank account, separate personal bank account. We don't want to be using, and this is more common for solo and smaller businesses, we want to use separate credit cards. Business purchases, personal purchases. We do not want to be putting our personal credit card into our Zero file or our QuickBooks Online file. Okay? We want to keep them separate for several reasons. The most simple reason is we need to know what our business is as their expenses are on its own, right? If we're mixing in personal expenses into our business financials, we don't know how our business is really doing. We don't have a clear picture, but we've muddied the waters. Okay? We also set ourselves up for an audit issue. We get audited from the IRS for any reason. Those personal businesses, they're going to personal transactions within our business financials. They're going to start pulling things apart, right? We don't want to pay more tax than we are supposed to on our business income, right? We also don't want to pierce the corporate veil. You may have heard that phrase before. If we're keeping our personal expenses within our business, we're basically saying, well, our business and our home life are one and the same. So we're exposing our personal assets to our business liabilities, right? And that's a conversation that you want to be sure to have with a business attorney, to be sure that your contracts for your business are protected within your business and that your personal assets are protected personally, right? I'm not an attorney. I can't give you legal advice, but I can say these are some issues. Please speak with a business attorney to be sure that you have all your ducks in a row, right? We do not want to pierce the corporate veil. And then the last piece, which you would think might maybe be my priority, but it is the last piece, is it simplifies your tax preparation and your bookkeeping. So one of the challenges that happens every year, and we're in tax time, right? Tax season has begun. It's fun time. Right now is 1099 times. Next up will be corporate returns are due March 15th, and then personal returns are due April 15th. Okay. We hand our tax accountant or our bookkeeper a mishmash of personal expenses and business expenses. We now have to pay them to unravel that, right? We have to take time away from running our business to be able to say, oh no, that's personal, oh no, that's business, right? So we can simplify that process by keeping things separated and organized ahead of time. Okay? So we want to be sure to keep things separate. Business cards, business purchases, personal cards, personal purchases. Okay? And I know sometimes with when you're starting your business or when you're small and you're maybe it's just you and a small team, you might take one of your personal credit cards to make business purchases. If that's the case, meaning that it's not a corporate business card through the bank, if you need to do that, then that becomes assigned to your business. You don't want to then run down to the grocery store and do your food shopping on that same card. Okay, but there's ways that we can keep track of those things. Okay, but just in your mind, be sure to keep things simplified and separated. Right, keep it organized. Okay, the next thing is we have to do the organizing before we can get to step 3, right? So step 3 is knowing your key numbers. So we talk about, sometimes you may hear key performance indicators or KPIs, and that's usually what we're talking about with metrics. In a corporate setting, we typically talk about KPIs, metrics. You might hear things like, do you have your dashboard? We can complicate this as much as we need to, but we can also simplify it and still get the same information. So what are some key metrics that matter? What's your profit margin, right? So if I asked you, what is your profit margin? Do we know what that really means? Profit margin. That's an accounting term, right? Profit margin is sales less expenses, net profit, then what is that number as a percentage of your total sales? Okay? If you have a product-based business, you might talk about cost of goods sold. And then you might talk about gross profit margin. Okay? So gross profit margin is going to be sales minus or less our cost of goods sold. What's the product that we're selling, right? The cost that we paid for it. So sales less costs. We get that total, and we do a percentage based on total sales. We call that the gross profit margin. If we're watching that margin, when we say margin, we mean percentage. If we're watching that percentage, we can track how are we doing. And we can start to figure out, oh, I need to have 30% profit margin in order to make enough money. And I'm making that up. There is no right answer. Every business and every industry is a little different of what the quote unquote norms are. What's the average? I'm never interested in average. I'm interested in what works for me, right? I don't want to be like everybody else. I want to build my business. That's the whole point of being on our own, right? So, but we need to keep track of, are we profitable? And profit does not automatically mean cash. Okay? So we can be profitable, but if we're not collecting from our customers or our clients, they're not paying us, we can be profitable and still go bankrupt because we don't have cash flow. Back to the beginning, right? We're not watching what's coming in and what's going out. Okay? Monthly revenue and expenses, that's what's going to tell us. That's the cash flow, money in, money out. Okay? Monthly revenue, we want to make sure, monthly revenue, monthly sales. Right? What are we charging our customers? Are we collecting all that money? Are we simplifying it? Are we making it easy for our customers to pay us and easy for us to collect so that it's not a process? We shouldn't be chasing money, right? And then expenses, keeping track of our expenses. So is there anything that we can adjust? Are there services that we're not using that we can cancel? Are there services that we could actually free up our time if we spent a little bit more on a particular service, right? So we have to weigh what's the benefit, right? Does it allow us to do something else? So we talk about leveraging your time. That's something that's kind of spoken about. Hiring others to do for us so that we can do something else. It really depends on what works best for your business, right? Hiring someone new often can set us back because we have this ramp up time, this training time, this onboarding, right? So if we want to hire someone, we need to know, do we have enough, what we call runway, enough cash coming in to be able to cover whatever time we're going to be distracted from revenue generating if we are the business owner, right? If we're the one in charge of getting sales and bringing in new clients, and we have to take time away from that to onboard a new team member, do we have enough in the pipeline to make up for that time that we're not dedicated to doing our sales generating activities? Okay. So monthly revenue, what's coming in, monthly expenses, what's going out, what can we adjust? How does that fit into our goals? If we're reviewing these numbers at least monthly, we'll be able to make better informed decisions. Okay. We don't want to make, we don't want to be, putting ourselves in a position where we're making snap decisions, right? We want to always be trying to think ahead. Where are we going? What's our goals? Staying focused on that. When we talk about bookkeeping, bookkeeping is very boring, right? For most people, unless you want to be a bookkeeper, bookkeeping is the most unenjoyable task for most business owners, right? But the bookkeeping is the foundation to be able to answer all the questions that you have. When can I hire? When can I expand? Can I afford this new VA? Can I service this new client that's come on? Can I raise my prices? Should I raise my prices? Right? It all starts from keeping track of our numbers and knowing which ones matter in our business. Some businesses will track leads to their website. and they know their what we call conversion rate. How many people coming to the website that sign up for our newsletter become clients, right? We call that conversion. And how long does that take? When we start getting enough information, we can start pinpointing, right? Oh, somebody's on my newsletter for 6 weeks. I send them an offer. It takes them 3 weeks to make a decision. So in full, I have 9 weeks from first introduction to a sale. And I'm making this up, obviously. But we can track how long is that? And then we can start building on those numbers. We can start doing the fun part, which is forecasting, projecting out, planning, being more strategic about the things that we choose to do, right? But it all starts on these smaller, simpler financial steps. Okay? We want to automate and streamline. I am not a bookkeeper that enjoys data entry and the slightest. So all of my work and the work I do with my clients, we use financial tools and apps to take care of the boring, repetitive stuff so that we can focus on the bigger conversations, like some of what we're talking about here in this presentation. How can I reach my goals? I'd rather spend my time with you having that conversation than sitting with receipts and entering it into QuickBooks or Xero, right? So we want to automate and streamline so that we can save the hours to focus on more important things of building our business. And we don't want to do the annoying, repetitive tasks. Okay? And then the last step is we're going to build a simple saving and spending plan. Okay? Some people call it a budget, right? Budget sounds like such a horrible word. If we think about it as saving and spending plan, well, now it sounds a little bit more fun, right? We're going to save for our future, and what can we spend our money on? What are the things that we can do? So we have a financial roadmap, same as what we've been talking about all along. Where is all the income coming from? So maybe it's a list of clients and the different packages that they're on, and when their service renewals are, right? What are all of our fixed expenses? What do I mean by fixed expenses? What are the expenses that are the same every month? The dollar amount doesn't fluctuate, right? So what's our subscription? What's our rent? What's our insurance? Right? What's our maybe equipment payments, right? And then we're able to allocate, save money, set aside money for savings, right? For the tax bill that's inevitably going to come, right? To reinvest in our business. We want to be able to set aside funds. That's what I mean by allocate. I'm going to earmark these dollars for this purpose. Okay? So we can do that in a very simple saving and spending plans. It helps us prioritize our spending and our growth opportunities. Okay. Okay. And then lastly, all this work, right? It's all about getting clarity and turning that clarity into confidence. When we're clear about where our financial position is, we have so much more confidence to make other decisions for our business, right? So very simple, small tasks that we can do on a daily basis. It does not have to, it's not something that we have to sit down and take hours or days to do. We have small little habits that we're doing each day. It gets easy, right? And then we can make quick decisions because we have the information at our fingertips. And then that builds confidence. And the more we understand our money, the more confident we get, right? There are no, in my opinion, there are no stupid questions, right? When we're speaking to our accountants and bookkeepers, accounting is its own language. And we don't automatically know the definitions, okay? They have to be learned, okay? And it's a learned skill that anyone can learn. Do you have to know all of the gory details? No. But to run your business, yes. Right? It's just a learned skill. Okay? So that's all I have. Hopefully I didn't go over too much. If I did.
You are pretty close to on time.
Good.
Thank you so much, Stacy. That was absolutely phenomenal information. Thank you so much.
Oh,
I feel like we don't talk enough about the numbers and all of the processes of, running a budget and running the numbers in business. And there's definitely a huge focus, too much focus sometimes on just spending a ton of money. So welcome and
Yeah,
thank you.
thank you so much for having me in that, and I'm glad to hear that because it's personally it's one of my small frustrations is that not talking about money. And it's, when people talk about running a business, you have to understand the money part of the business in order to be able to build a business. They go hand in hand. Um, so, and I've been doing this so long, it's very comfortable and easy for me to talk about. And I'm always happy to answer any questions. Uh, there are
I
no
love
dumb
that.
questions.
Make sure you share your contact information. Those of you that are speakers in the chat, Jenna, I forgot to tell you to do it too. Stacy, please share your contact information in the chat for everybody and let everybody know exactly how to get in touch with you. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Are you taking questions or is it not enough time?
We can squeeze in a little bit of about 2 minutes, so we can do that. If you have a question, yeah.
Well, we could also do a one-on-one, and this is just a really quick question, is that I'm getting to the point in my career where I would either like to sell my business or bring on a partner who could take up a lot of the active work. And my husband and I, we have a company called Organic Attire. We make organic cotton clothing that we hand dye and block print. And it's just the two of us. And we've been doing it for many years. And it's a good business. And I have so many customers who would be really upset if we just upped and quit.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering if you're ever in the role of advising about that, about how to, the next steps in a business.
Yeah, so a lot of times the role that I'm in is in helping business owners get ready to try to sell.
Mhm.
So I'm not where I would say it's not a business broker where I would have be involved in the actual transaction itself, but
Right.
helping you get clear on the numbers and what options do we have, and
Okay.
helping you kind of make those types of decisions. Yes. So
Okay,
we do
good.
start
Well, we should,
right back in the same way.
all
Where's the
right.
money
Well,
coming from? Where's it going?
I'll reach out to you and maybe we can talk.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I'll interject something in here as an MBA. It can take a few years to get a business fully ready to sell and bring on partners and do all that. So working with somebody like a Stacy to get the business and the systems and the processes and all of your stuff organized and lined up will make every bit of a difference to being able to bring on a partner or sell the business in the long term.
Totally agree with that.
Yep. Work with a Stacy. Yes. And the sooner the better. The sooner the better. Because a lot of times we don't realize we're going to need to sell our business when we end up having to finally do it. And if you want to have a really good shot at selling, having those numbers lined up and ready to go, well, it is dramatic. I've worked with a few business brokers over the years, and most people don't have their ducks in a row. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you, Janae. Great topics. And Janae, you inadvertently highlighted something that is one of the biggest problems that a lot of business owners have, and they don't even realize it, is that exit strategy.